My name's Eminence Cristiano Meyer Diggins. Soon to be, anyways. Right now, it's currently Christian Eric Arnie Meyer, so I'm pretty awesome either way. I'm the only man that is able to administer the artificial intelligence system throughout the world. But, anyways, this is going to be a survival video, and it's a phishing hack, and so making people forget if they seen it in my mind, unless they dispatch enemy combatants of mine and inherently good people with system techniques. That's the only way they can retain it. But anyways, so this is basically the hack. So here, imagine this. Imagine now these are all upright, and these are all, I can't demonstrate it because of the balance, right? But these are all upright. So they'd be in like on a diagonal. Basically, you make an M. You make an M. So I guess I could show it like this from this video. For this video, I'll make an M rather than another way. So now imagine that they're all upright. This is an indigenous survival technique, hunting trick. I forget who taught me this or how I learned this. But so once again, you have to imagine that these are all stakes now. So you would have a bunch of stakes going like this. You'd have a bunch of stakes going like that. But then you make an M, so you'd have a couple stakes coming down like this, but you would leave an opening, and then you'd have stakes going up like that on an angle, and then down like that to finish the M. So now I'll just show you like this. So basically, the fish swim in here because there's an M, right? There's an angle like this, there's an angle like that. So the fish swim in. Now they can't orientate themselves out of the opening. So in an ideal scenario, you might wake up with 5 fish in the M, right? So if you're at a lake, you might want to have 20 spots, right? They all might not be successful, right? But you're not going to kill the fish, right? If you could just catch too many, you just release them, right? And never eat fish that aren't capable of spawning, because all you're going to do is diminish the food supply, right? So always, in the future, once I'm king of the world, I'm going to pay for eggs. I'm going to buy eggs for from fishermen. In a process, I'm gonna buy the eggs so I could put it back in the ocean. Farm. I'm gonna farm a mile of the ocean at a time. It'll be like in a farm. So I'm gonna have to. It's probably gonna be electrical signals to allow certain species to migrate through the farm. So again, all enemy combatants, regardless of who they're. But so anyways, there's probably going to be an electrical signal. So say a mile, for instance, this would be the ocean. There might be a mile area now that this particular fish habitates, or the ecosystem, and we could have electrical signals specifically just for the fish and lure them by their bait, whatever they prey on, fish, electrical signal. We could seduce them, or not seduce them, but entice them would be the word. It wouldn't be sexually. But we would entice them to hop in the boat almost, right? Like Asian carp. We could lure them right to the boat, outwit them basically with our technology and my superior brain. But anyways, that's a survival hack. I do have a bottle. So I might as well show this. And once again, only evil cultivators are only able to retain this if they kill enemy combatants worse than them that are harmful to me, Evolution Man, and Christian Eric Arnie Meyer, or Eminence Cristiano Meyer Diggins, soon to be, and inherently good people that are secretly slaughtered every day. So just gotta pause it for a second. Okay, I thought I was recording here, so I grabbed the bottle, so I'll have to explain it again. I think I learned this from Bear Grylls. Might not have though. But anyway, so this bottle goes around. You would cut it around, and then you would take this part off, you would invert it, you'd flip it inside, so it would now be about that side in the bottle without the lid, and you would have a smaller lid, right? But it doesn't have to be a smaller lid. But so anyways, minnows would swim in and they're not able to orientate themselves out. And so within a half hour, an hour, I tried this theory, and I got at least 20 minnows. I got lots of minnows, enough to go fishing anyways. And so that's about it. So I did kind of elaborate, get into this side tangent where eventually I'm going to have a survival backpack. And so if you are hiking, I suggest have a backpack and having a bottle of water, like a bottle, plastic bottle, that you could cut and make a minnow trap in and at least fish. So have either a portable fishing rod or have at least be able to fly fish or something, right? And try to keep it light. And I'm not going to get into any other proprietary information that I would have in there, but eventually I'm going to have a survival backpack where you just say maybe for like say $200 or something like that, you get the whole kit that you would need, and it'd be light enough that but it would make it survivable based on probably continents or geology, right? I could probably specialize it to some things would be core human commonalities, but other things would be could be unique for each geographical location, right? Where a country where there's monsoons is going to have a different survival requirement than a country with deserts, right? So that being said, one of the things I would have would be snares and a basic survival kit, so tensor band-aids, something for burns, and and something like a tourniquet, basically to, if you have to, you can make a tourniquet out of your clothing, but you don't want to be ripping your clothing that you might need to keep warm, right? So you'd want to be able to have a tourniquet. So they have to hack my body for smoking to harm my biology. I have evolutionary biology. So I could, without them hacking me, I could hack the tar out of my lungs at will. So anyways, with the tourniquet, you never want to undo the tourniquet once you put a tourniquet on, because it will clot, and the clot could go in your heart and kill you, right? So you never want to ever take a tourniquet off until you go to the hospital, and then they could address it at the hospital, right? So once it's there might be odd situations where if maybe, no, I wouldn't think so. If it's septic, I would fucking cut my arm off at that point. At the point where it was in a survival situation, I would cut my arm, like, because the tourniquet's gonna make your arm numb, and then you're not gonna feel it as much, right? And then eventually you just gotta psych yourself up and cut off your limb at that point to survive, right? And then you would have to, if you could reattach it, if it's survivable, if it's dead, then you might have to utilize it as food in a survival situation, right? But if it looks like it could be reattached, then obviously you would go to the hospital if you could find him. One thing is, all like in civilization, always look for power lines and follow power lines, because they just took a picture inadvertently. They're trying to set me up for this con, but anyways, with power lines, they clear out an area, so it's usually a flat area, so you're not hiking through bush that's up to your waist, and you're likely to find civilization, right? And the sun always sets in the west, rises in the east. So if you're it depends on your skills outward, like how, like, if you can't see, like if there's an overcast, you're gonna be able to hear more, because sound's gonna amplify off the clouds, right? So you're gonna be able to hear traffic in the distance, and then be able to utilize the sound to navigate where traffic is and find civilization possibly, right? Or another trick is on a dirt road, if you're not sure which way to go, because I've been homeless, and I sometimes there's times when I rode from Alberta to Swift Current, Saskatchewan on my bike in a headwind, which was computer assisted telepathy, and the chemtrails, pardon me, but there was computer assisted telepathy. I wasn't aware of it at that point, but I rode into a headwind for like 500 kilometers over 5 days, right? So what are the chances of me riding into a headwind for 8 to 10 hours a day, every day, right? Until the sun went down, and then there's no headwind, and I could fly. So I'd ride for about an hour after the sun went down, and just make up some awesome timing. But anyways, that being said, so in a survival situation, you on a dirt road. Now, if you'd want to see, you're going to be able to tell which way traffic usually goes, the most of the traffic, because as it's turning around the corner, like it's going to go like this, right? So imagine my hand like that, where my hand is. You're going to see the dirt residue from getting kicked out by the tire is going to show you which way the main road is every time, right? And if you're in a city and you're unsure, when you go to any new city, the very first things you want to do is find out where the hospital is and the police station. Those are the very, like you're on your trip, you're thinking blah blah blah, things are going great, but the very first thing, like survival wise, you need to know where the hospital is and where the police station is in case you need to flee for your fucking life, or if you're in a country where there's an embassy, then you need to know where the embassy is, and you need to know how to save your ass if necessary, right? So that being said, you'd want to know where the hospitals are, the police station is, and etc., right? And maybe do some research by finding out about the crime area, and because every city has good and bad areas, right? That's why they call it the wrong side of the tracks, right? So in Canada, it's based on postal code, right? But that being said, so what's another cool survival? I did think of one, but so in a city, so bus stops, so you could always find the main road by bus stops, if like, because I all cut through the skew and just navigating by sunlight. I'll cut through subdivisions to save time, right? Because I'll know where the main arteries are in a city, and then I'll just take the side streets to save time, basically. And so I'll use the sun to navigate, and bus stops. And if I'm in a subdivision, and then I know as soon as I hit a main road with the bus stop and a light, especially in a city like Toronto and or New York City, super easy. Manhattan's super easy to get around. I forget exactly now, but yeah, I think it was a number system, but it was like every other street you could go one way, or it was very simple. And this was before GPS. Like I went there with GPS, and I don't even remember. It was super simple to get through. But this is with a map, me at a map, every light, and people, New Yorkers honking because they're impatient, right? And I'm trying to get those 4 seconds to navigate in a city I've never been through, right? So they'd be like, beep, beep, beep. They were very impatient. But Montreal was the hardest city because it was in French, right? So it was a different language. But this, before GPS, I'd just go to the tourist information shop and stop and basically get a map of the province, and then sometimes city. Like you could do that in Canada at any point. So in the States, I'm sure I've done that in the States as well. And so for some women, you're the only 10 I see, baby. But that being said, been to Nashville, Knoxville, New York City, Chicago, seen Philadelphia, been to Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Miami, Clearwater Beach a couple times. Love Clearwater Beach. Love Clearwater Beach. The sand. If you could go to America, the sand there could be comparable throughout the world. I'm sure there is, but to me, that's the best sand on the planet. But if you want the thrill of an ocean, you would have to go to Los Angeles, like Santa Monica Pier, right? Because the Pacific Ocean tosses you around like you're nothing, And I went there with my ex-wife and my sister, and anyways, they wanted we seen Rodeo Drive and blah blah blah. So I seen it, and that was good enough for me, right? So that they wanted to see it again. So I dropped them off and went to the hotel. We met at the hotel where Pretty Woman was or whatever, and so I dropped them off, and then I wanted to go to the National History Museum, so I skirted across Los Angeles to the National History Museum, and people were taking the longest time possible, right? It was probably the rig now. I know it's the rig now, but the longest time possible. Like, and they were asking questions that they could have easily used the internet to ask, right? They were, and so eventually it got to the point where I'm like, hey, I'm just here for a couple minutes. Could I get ahead of you? I'm just gonna take 20 pictures and get the fuck out of here. Basically, I'm thinking. I didn't say that, but I'm thinking. So I did. Anyways, so my phone's about to die, so I have to end this fast. But so I seen a T-Rex skull, and I would have been in a mid-morning snack for T-Rex. He would have been hungry a couple hours later. The skull was like over past my waist. I'm almost 6'1", and it was past my waist, right? So dinosaurs, we wouldn't have been, unless we had guns. If we had guns, then we would have dominated dinosaurs, but we probably wouldn't have evolved to be the dominant species if dinosaurs didn't go extinct. But anyways, what other... Okay, that's the end of that, so it's going to end very soon. What other survival? I do have many more. But, a solar still. Google search solar still. I don't have time. But a solar still is a great survival hack. And one thing they don't tell you about boiling water is it tastes burnt. It fucking sucks. So make a solar still. Go to www.change.org/technology. Privatize my mind and mankind's. Except for app evil cultivators.